Hi guys, it's Mrs. Davis. We're right here in our own art classroom. The only thing missing is you guys. But I'm going to do my best to put together some art videos for you to enjoy during this time that we have to be out of school. The first video we're going to do is going to be a simple little watercolor project, and it may seem kind of simple, but using this as a basis, I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of really neat watercolor techniques that you can use with watercolors that are in your kit. The first one we're going to do, can you see all the different levels of value, all made with one color of blue? You ready to get started? Let's go. Okay, here's the project that we're going to do today. I'm going to set this aside and show you how to draw this. In your supplies that came to you for this project, you have a piece of paper that has a very simple sketch on it, and you have a piece of watercolor paper, and then you should also get for yourself a paper towel and some kind of vessel to put water in. To begin with, we've got to soften up our paint. And remember, as we've learned before, when you soften your paint, you don't want to stir them or anything. You're just going to take some water out of the out of the water container and just kind of lay it in just the blue. So take about 4 or 5 different brushes full of paint and fill that little divot of paint all the way up to the top, and we're going to let that just set and soften. And also remember that you don't leave your brush in the water because it gives him a bad hair day. So take your brush, set him on the paper towel, and let's do the drawing while we wait for the paint to soften. This is pretty high quality watercolor paper, so it's not going to curl up as badly as some of the cheaper watercolor paper, but we still want to tape it down. So get you some tape and put tape on, kind of curl it backwards like this, and put tape on each corner, and then also one in the middle. And this will keep it from bending up so much that your water goes all over the place. Then on the back, first thing we do is always the same. Pick up a pencil and write our name. So you're going to put your name on the back, then turn it over, and then very gently, so you don't smear any dirt on it. By the way, I hope you're keeping your hands washed. Wash your hands constantly and stay very healthy. Push that down really solid so that it can't curl up on us. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, you don't have a ruler in your kit, but you don't really need a ruler for this project. If you don't have one around the house, you can just use a straight edge of some kind. Anything that you can find that has a nice straight edge on it will do just fine. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our little mountains back here. Very simple. Very, very simple. We want to keep this rolling and simple so it doesn't compete with the house. We're going to draw the mountain, then we're going to draw our little ground here, a little horizon line, and then we'll come back and do the house. So just put a reference dot about right here on your paper and another one about right here. By the way, all the way through these videos, you can stop, and you can pause it, and then go ahead and do what you need to do, and then push play again, and I'll be right there with you. Okay, draw just gently. Remember how we've talked about not drawing too hard with your pencil? Just nice, gentle sketch. And your hills don't have to be the same as mine, because remember, everything God makes is different. Every one God makes is different. Then down here, our second reference dot, we're going to do just a little, kind of a little rolling ground. We don't want it to be too straight because we want it to look kind of like the grass with snow on it. I don't know, this kind of looks like a snowy picture to me. Okay, now looking at our house, it's really a lot more simple than it looks. If you have a ruler, you're going to measure about 1.25 inches, or about from the tip of your finger to your knuckle will be just about fine for your first line. So the line I'm drawing is this one right here to start with. So we're going to put a reference dot here, and then it will come down to here. So go ahead and put your reference dot there, then lay your straight edge right along there and gently, don't draw it too dark, down just to your horizon line. Because look at our drawing here. It kind of looks like the house is slightly behind that little rise. Then we're going to come over here a ways. Here I am measuring again, probably about another 1.25 inches, or about the distance from the tip of your finger to the back of your knuckle, because your hands are a little bit smaller than mine. We're going to draw a line that is pretty straight. So put a reference dot, but not too dark, and then draw that line there. And what this one is this the top of the eave of the house right here. Then we need to have another line coming down here that is parallel, going the same way as this one over here. So let's do that real quick with our straight edge. Come down to the ground line. Now we've got this lovely little box sitting there. Let's turn that box into a house. Okay, looking at the angle of the roof, it's not real critical that your angle is the same as mine, just so that this line and this line are the same. And this, so we'll take one, maybe put a reference dot about right here, and go ahead and draw this first one. And we're gonna go slightly down beyond this, beyond the eave here. And using your straight edge, kind of slide over here and draw the same one. Now if you need to pause at any time, just hit that pause button and then you can push play again and we'll get right back on the road. Okay, this side of the house, you need to be very careful that you have your angle here about the same on both sides. If I put it clear out here, I'm gonna draw this really lightly so you'll see how weird it would look. See, that doesn't quite match with that. So make sure that you have it about the same angle in relation to the side. So go ahead and draw this other side. Don't want to come down too far. And now we're going to draw this right here. The side of the house using our straight edge down to that line. Now the roof of the house needs to be parallel to the top of the roof needs to be parallel to the bottom of the roof. You can see how weird it would look if we didn't have it parallel. So make sure that it's right straight with it. And here we go with the roof. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to erase any little goobers I don't like. Lighten my reference dots so they don't show up in your painting. Okay, now we're going to draw our little chimney here. It's really pretty simple. You can use your straight edge if you want, but you can just draw, sketch down like this. And then make sure that you have, see how this angle's up so it looks like we have dimension. Go ahead and angle that up just a touch, and then this one's going to be angled up the same. Then this side of the chimney is going to be angled down ever so slightly, and then come straight down and stop at the roof line here. Now it's not a transparent chimney, so we need to erase this little bit right here, and then go back and sketch it in again, because we'll be painting this little area a different layer. Okay, our house is finished and we are ready to do the first layer of watercolor wash. Take your brush, fill it full of water, and don't stir in your paint, just kind of fill it up with paint, and it's going to drip, so just be kind of careful that you don't drip all over your project. Starting at the top, a little bit more water, you don't want it too dark. You want this first layer to be pretty light. So you're going to very gently go clear off of your paper onto the table. It'll wash right up, Mom and Dad. It's just watercolor. So clear off the edge of the paper so we have a nice, neat, completed painting out to the edge. You'll need to keep going back and getting water, and this step you need to do relatively quickly so that you get about the same value, about the same lightness and darkness of color all the way across. Now we're going to have some stripes in it, but that's cool. It'll make it look like clouds in the sky and maybe some little lines on the ground. Okay, that does the job right there for layer one. Put a little bit more down here. And don't worry about little pieces of paper that might ball up on you. That happens. If you look very closely at Leonardo da Vinci paintings or any other artist, you'll find little brush hairs and little goobers in them, and that doesn't stop the art at all. Rinse your brush out very carefully, lay it on the paper. I'm going to use a hair dryer between layers here, but if you wish, you can just pause the video and then you can come back and do the next layer after yours is dry. That didn't take very long with the hairdryer. You want to dry it to the point that it doesn't feel sticky, that your hand kind of slides right over the top of it. Got to retrieve my paper towel here. All right, we're ready for layer number two. I can hardly see my mountain back there. I hope you guys can see it in the video. And there's my horizon line. So the layer number 2, I'm going to paint the mountain in the background and the face of the house and the side of the house only. So here we go with layer 2. Make sure that you don't get it too dark and try not to drip on your project. Take your brush, get you some paint, and then touch gently right there to get the drips off. So right here along the top of the mountain. And like with these other steps, you need to do it relatively quickly so that it doesn't dry on you and you wind up with more different layers in different places. Painting around the house can get a little bit tricky, especially around the chimney. But you can do that part very slowly, just come right along there. But then you want to make your paint strokes horizontal so it looks natural like a mountain would go. Down here to your horizon line, right on the side, down. Oh, wait a minute, we're painting the whole front of the house too. That's right, it makes it a little easier. We're painting the front and the side, but not the roof. There we go. And go clear off over to here, back down here. We do need to paint around that chimney, because that chimney is going to be a lighter color because on the face of it, because it's catching some light. There we go. Go ahead and remember down to your horizon line. There we go. Kind of smooth it out a little bit. Little thingies up on the hills are going to look cool, so don't smooth it out too much. Okay, that is layer number 2. I'm going to dry that with my hair dryer. You can do that, or you can pause the video. Okay, we are finished with layer number 2. Now we're going to do the third and final layer. This is also called glazing. You ever had a glazed donut? Yum, yum. They take a donut and then they put a thin layer of sugary, melted sugar over the top. And it's just kind of glazed over the top. And that is basically what we are doing here. Layer number 3, or our third glaze, is only the front of the house. Let's look at the sample real quick. Only the front of the house and the front on the side of the chimney. That part's a little tricky, but most of you in your kits have brushes that'll have nice points on them. So only the front of your house down to your ground or down to your horizon line, up to a nice point here. Take your time. You don't have to keep up with me. Take your time so that you can do these lines. Remember, when you pull a brush toward you or pull a pencil toward you, you'll have a little bit more control over it than if you're pushing it away. So I'm still pulling on it even though I've got my hand turned around here. I think I'll get that goober out of there. Okay, got the front of the house. Now I'm going to get a little bit more paint, test it out here to make sure I haven't got too much. Okay, that's just right. Now I'm just going to dab along the front edge of that chimney, and that's all you need to do. Voila, we are finished with our first watercolor painting. You have learned about glazing, you have learned about layers, and you have been reviewed about different levels of value. Remember, value is the lightness to darkness of a color. Our next video is going to be the similar concept, but it's going to be a little bit harder project. Until then, God's blessings to you all.